And one of the most unfortunate manifestations of this today is even like weddings and these occasions to celebrate, and how we celebrate these occasions and how we conduct these weddings. That people spending inordinate, ridiculous, disgusting amounts of money on a wedding, on a 4-hour party. And and it gets so bad, and it's not just that somebody spends a lot of money, but then it becomes a competition. So, they had a wedding with 500 people at that hotel, so we got to do it at the nicer hotel, and we got to have 600 people. Why? Because they had 500 people, so we got to have 600 people. Well, we don't even know 600 people. What are we going to do? We'll figure something out. We'll just make a public announcement, just bring a lot of people in, but there's got to be more people than they had, right? So it's a constant competition, spending money and just always wanting to one-up each other. I had a very unfortunate experience not too long ago where I was invited to an aqiqah. Aqiqah is basically the birth feast, the celebration or the feast that is done after the birth of a child. And it's from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And this aqiqah cost upwards of $50,000. And it just didn't make sense. I really try my very best to never be judgmental and never to judge anyone. And people should be, and there's nothing wrong with people celebrating or enjoying an occasion or sharing a moment with friends and family or community. But there comes a point in a time where just something becomes wrong. This past Ramadan, and it hasn't even been 6 months since Ramadan. It's been about 5 months since Ramadan went by at the time of recording the video, that we had the crisis going on in East Africa. People were dying due to starvation. People were dying because they couldn't get a piece of bread to eat, because they couldn't get a cup of clean water to drink. People were dying. And how do you justify spending $50,000, $100,000 on a wedding? How do you justify that? There has to be a time and a place where you ask yourself, what am I going to say when I stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What will I say? How will I answer for myself? So it's something to really think about. There's a beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he says the worst walima. Walima is the feast and the occasion, the celebration of after the marriage, and which is again from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But the Prophet ﷺ says that the worst walima is the one where only the rich and the wealthy are invited, and there's no room for poor people at that walima. The poor are not fed at that walima. And let's compare our occasions, our walimas and our aqiqahs and our celebrations to that standard. We only invite the rich and the wealthy and the influential and the famous. We have no room for the poor. We don't accommodate the poor. There's just not a consideration. They're a burden. And so it's something to really think about. And that when we fall into this predicament of just constantly competing with each other, it doesn't matter what we have to do. I will take a loan. I will put myself in debt. I will work my entire life to have one 4-hour party. People spend their life savings on a 4-hour party. People will go into debt for the rest of their life. They will die in debt for a 4-hour party. And alhaakumut takathur. And it doesn't even end there. Sometimes even parents, when their kids grow up and they're going to college and they're going to school, they have to go to that college because their son goes to that college, so our son has to go to a better college. And they'll brag to each other about what college or their school their son goes to. But what you don't see on the back end of it, they're literally going into hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt. Why? Because we got to maintain that social standard. We got to keep up appearances. Alhaakumut takathur. It makes you useless. It completely takes you away from the purpose of your life. You live life for such a greater purpose, to serve Allah, to better humanity, to help people. That is why we live life, to spread the message of Allah, the word of Allah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرِ, until and unless you have visited the graves. That from time to time, remind yourself of the hereafter. Remind yourself that there is something more important at stake here. And let's get back on track. So let's try to be conscious, let's try to be aware of this. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.